If you're paying more at the grocery store and everywhere else, you're not alone. Inflation rates in the U.S. have hit a 40-year high. Joining me now is President and CEO of Disaster Recovery Institute International, Chloe Demrovsky. So good to see you tonight. You go to the supermarket just about anywhere and you just look down the aisle and half the things aren't even there. If they are there, you're paying what feels like at times even triple the price. You go to pump gas and you have the same issue. How does the consumer understand that? What is happening at the granular level that is causing this?
So we're seeing the fastest rates of inflation in 40 years right now. That information came out that the consumer price index went up 7%. So obviously we're seeing things that tend to go up like fuel prices and food prices, but even when you take those out, prices are still going up across the board. Some wages are going up, but a lot of them are not. And we're just, it's getting harder as people are maybe bringing home what they were before or not as much or just slightly more, but they're having to pay a lot higher prices when they go to the grocery store to get those kinds of staples. And so that's really starting to hurt. I mean, just for an example, my husband wanted to buy some ground turkey for us to have for dinner tonight, and he went to 3 stores and he couldn't find any. So he had to figure something else out for dinner. And people across the country are seeing that.
And we've been hearing that this could be a possibility, obviously, with the pandemic, Omicron. We're seeing that so many more people are getting infected at faster rates, so there's not enough workers, even at the supply lines at factories. So obviously that translates later when we see it at the grocery store. But you look down the line in the near future, 3, 4, 6 months, when does this stop? At what point do we see things getting back to what we knew, maybe not even pre-pandemic, but just 2021?
Well, it's very hard to predict anything these days, I'm afraid. Omicron is certainly, as you said, having an impact. So when we were looking at maybe it will start to ease in 6 months, and I think we still will start to see some sort of evening out. We were already starting to see the numbers slowly decrease, slow down a little bit in December, but that's not happening really fast enough for people to feel it now. The World Economic Forum came out with a report that says that we're going to be feeling the effects of this pandemic ripple throughout the global economy over the next 3 years. So, companies are dealing with this. We're trying to figure out supply chains. There's got to be a lot of patience as companies work with, whether they have business continuity plans around like the severe weather that's impacting some of the restocking on shelves. But we're dealing with it during this enormous pandemic that is just going on for several years. So it's been really a challenge after a challenge after a challenge that is really impacting everyone, frankly.
Well, let's hope we don't have to wait 3 years before things get back to normal. Chloe Demrovsky, we appreciate your insight.